welcome to another quick episode of Five Strands with Art Del Cueto. Just a couple of things we got to touch on. Obviously, there's still a heck of a lot going on in Minnesota. It's been a back and forth. Prayers, honestly, prayers to all the agents out there. And a word of advice, get some type of liability insurance, because I think we're going to see more and more just hecticness and attacks and everything else. And you're going to obviously do your job, but you never know what's going to come out of it. So you need to have some type of insurance. I'll be looking into, I know I've heard rights insurance and everything else. I'm looking into it and see what advice I can give to everyone out there. Now, look, some of these things that I'm going to say today are not going to come out as very popular. There was an individual that was in Minnesota, and there was pictures and filming of him, and he was outside with an AR-15. Now they asked him what he was doing, and he had some, I think, threatening remarks towards law enforcement and ICE agents. However, let's think about this, okay? If you are a true Second Amendment person, then it's okay that he's out there with his gun. Now, it's not okay that he makes threats. That's beyond that. And the reason he's out there is, in my opinion, not okay either. However, he's got the Second Amendment, which applies to him as well, to be out there with his rifle. Now, I think that at the end of the day, if he does something stupid and he decides to point that weapon at a law enforcement officer, then, he's going to probably, wish he never did that, of course. But let's not go after him and attack him for exercising his Second Amendment. And I get it. Some people aren't going to like that. But if he's a U.S. citizen and he can legally own it, look, guys, you're either, Second Amendment or not Second Amendment. That's what it comes down to. And if we start doing something now, we may be eating our words when you have a different politician, a different type of politician, a different political party up there, coming after you and say, hey, well, you guys said it wasn't okay. So do I condone him being out there with a weapon? The Second Amendment says he can. Do I condone his messaging? Absolutely not. Do I think this will end up bad if he decides to point the gun at a federal agent? Absolutely. And that's some of the things that he's got to think about, to be honest. But the Second Amendment does apply to everybody. That's what it comes down to. And I know it's not popular for me to say that, but that's what it comes down to. So, look, this isn't going to stop. I know some people are going back and forth and saying, look, is ICE going to pull back? They've arrested criminals, tons of them, with serious criminal backgrounds, with real criminal records. So you can't just wave the red flag with the white flag because there's some politicians out there that have their own agenda. Shame on the mayors, shame on the governor, what they've been saying. And honestly, I think they're the ones that continue to incite this kind of movement, because they said, hey, pull out your phone, do this, do that. Why did they go into the church? Because they felt empowered that they could do something like that, and there's no consequences because their own leadership from their states are telling them they can do that. So it's going to get worse. I get asked, do you think it's okay that they send in the military? It's not whether I think it's okay or not. It's like, what else can you do at this point? It's complete lawlessness. Their governor, their mayor is not doing anything to fix the problem. So I think they're at a point where you're just going to have to use more individuals out there that can stop the issue, stop the problem. And that's where we're at. Unfortunately, that's where we're at in America. But, ICE is doing the right thing. Border Patrol is doing the right thing. Now, I think a lot of it also has to do with optics. The people don't understand, the individuals that are posting these videos, they're able to post these videos once agents are already hands-on trying to detain somebody. But you don't know what led to that. And Border Patrol and ICE can't release that video because obviously if it's under investigation, you can't release it to the public. So they're already, they get the short end of the stick, the agents, because the protesters and the people that hate us, they go ahead and on this media frenzy and attack agents The agency doesn't have that ability until after the investigation of use of force or whatever it may be is investigated, and by then everyone has formed their own opinions. That's the problem with a lot of these videos. So, I encourage people to, like, if you're seeing him, don't think, oh yeah, that's what happened, because I'm hearing a lot of, back and forth on individuals saying, oh, well, maybe it's not, it shouldn't be done that way or whatever. You're seeing a biased side because of the protesters and what they're filming. Now, again, on that note as well, I think Kristi Noem is a fantastic leader. I think Mike Banks is a fantastic leader. I think Tom Homan's a fantastic leader, and you need to let them be the leadership that continues to guide this moving forward. And I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, but it doesn't help at all with what we're trying to do, and it sure as hell ain't going to help the midterms if you have other individuals that are trying to say, hey, look at me, here's the camera, for their own purposes. So we need to stay focused. We need to stay focused on the mission, continue to move forward and say, hey, look, this is the right thing to do, because they're out there arresting real criminals. Now, once they arrest them, of course, other people show up. You need to question them, or you have to go to a house, or somebody, as I've said before, snitches on the neighbor. You can't just ignore those. So we need to keep moving forward, but people need to understand a lot of these videos that you're seeing one-sided biased videos. We need to stop focusing on that and realize that something led to that interaction with the agent. On that note, as always, keep them in your prayers, because this is a mess and it ain't going to end anytime soon. Until next time. Oh, no, I got one more. I almost cut it off. You had all these politicians that went down to Minnesota because they wanted to see the horrible ICE agents and Border Patrol agents and their actions. Look, one of them was our own Adelita Grijalva, who's from Arizona. And I'm sitting here going, look, Arizona continues to be at the top with fentanyl, but you're over there in Minnesota. Why the heck aren't you down here trying to figure out why there's so much drugs and fentanyl coming into our country? Take care of your home, and this is, she says this is her home, but she isn't doing much other than riling people up when she goes to certain, press conferences with her good friend, the mayor of Tucson, and all they do is stir the pot. So why aren't you here? That's what it comes down to. If you really care, you'd show you cared, but everyone just eats it up like a sheep. Keep the agents and all law enforcement in your prayers. Until next time, stay safe and God bless.